Sometimes I wonder if I am always seamlessly present in every moment that I am involved in. If my personality is always actively involved in these moments. Because in retrospect, it feels like that sometimes I'm not really there. I'm blank. And when something catches my attention, that's when my attitudes, my judgments, my personality as such kicks in. As if I as a personality was only present in moments of particular engagements. Of course, what prompts my attention is dependent on my attitudes and my judgments, but let's put that aside for the moment. And try to come around this question by talking about words and individuals again. So words and individuals. Words and individuals seem solid entities or objects because they appear to be so. You see a word on the paper and you see a person. In reality, on the street, and it's easy to identify them as those appearances. So the word, the meaning of the word is the word that is on the page. The identity of the person is that shape that contains that identity. But I think it's reasonable to say that words wouldn't mean anything if they stood alone, because they are functions. Every word is a function within a system of relations, and they derive their meaning not from an essence they possess, but of how they differ from other words. And individuals would be nobodies, or they wouldn't possess a self without reference to other individuals. And in this way, I could say that an individual is only a function within a system of relations, but that's not a nice way to put it. But something along those lines is the case, I think. What this basically means is that the core of the words and individuals that we feel to be the defining essence of these concepts is really empty. There is no essence there. So I say empty in this sense. Empty in the sense that they are anchoring points. These cores are anchoring points where the constellation of meaning is secured. Or anchoring points where the ripples that rebound from other words or other individuals funnel into. This way, meaning is distributed over a semantic space. It's not constrained to one word or one individual. The self-identity of an individual is distributed over a social space of interrelated individuals. Now, taking this to another level or another aspect of this phenomenon is also telling, I think, because if we take a word out of context, an isolated word like car, this word is only meaningful if it evokes a schema. Every word evokes a schema, and in that schema, the word that it actually refers to, the entity that this word refers to, is only a component part in the schema. So again, it's the way it functions in relation to other component parts that's where the meaning emerges. So every word evokes a schema or a frame of reference within which the actual entity to which the actual word refers to is only a component part. And the word car is only meaningful relative to a schema or frame in which it serves some form of function relative to roads, steering wheels, driving licenses, and so on. So, I don't know if it's right, but I would say that every word is like a blind spot carrying around an invisible cloud of connotations or conceptual relations. And in fact, reading a sentence is like adjusting these clouds as they transform one another, and it's not drip-fed goblets of water that we read as the word, and they transform into some liquid of intelligence or meaning, but rather these invisible clouds that transform each other. It's hard to... So there's a choreography that is enacted by the act of reading. Of course, these clouds form themselves around constructions and not words, because constructions are the basic units of language, and they can extend to include sentences or even paragraphs if we regard it in loose terms. But in moments of incomprehension or ambiguity, I think it is well seeable, if that's a word, then, because it is this point when blind spots turn into words and these clouds collapse and transparency is lost. Yeah, something like that. In terms of the individual, if we take it to the experiential level, again, an individual is not a solid entity, like a word is not a solid entity in terms of its meaning. A solid entity would just receive stimuli from external sources, and then it acts on those stimuli. But that's not the case, because the perceiver is not passive. Our perceptions gain as much as they give. It's an inactive process, so it's very inactive, and all experiential memories that are generated through this inaction, this interactive action, all experiential memories and the anticipations based on those memories form a kind of cloud of schemas around the individual. And of course these schemas are put to constant stimuli from the external world, and this cloud most of the time render them according to its logic, or conform every incoming information according to its structure. But this distortion that is evoked